In the dead of winter, as temperatures plunged to -20 degrees Celsius, Ukraine came under its largest and most devastating aerial assault of the year. Overnight, Russia unleashed a record barrage, around 450 long-range drones and more than 70 missiles, including 32 ballistic missiles, the highest number used in a single attack in 2026. The target was clear: not military bases, not front-line positions, Ukraine's power grid. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says the strikes were designed to leave civilians in the dark, without heat, light, or water, during the coldest days of winter. Taking advantage of the cold to terrorize people is more important to Russia than diplomacy, Zelenskyy said. Across Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odesa, and other regions, explosions echoed through the night. Thermal power plants were hit, substations burned, transformers failed.
Tonight, such a horrible thing happened in my house. This is especially disturbing because an elderly woman, an 80-year-old, lives in this room. The strike happened at 12:45 a.m. The clock stopped and I ran out of the bathroom. My ears were blocked by the blast. I couldn't hear anything. A child was in the corridor and I ran into this room. You can see what happened here. Thank God the grandmother was lying on the other side of the bed and was not injured. Everything is fine now. She and her daughter are in a safe place, staying with friends. The cafeteria and the auditorium were the most damaged. The sports hall, which has many windows, was also hit, and many windows were broken. It is very sad because the cafeteria was renovated this year and was damaged in less than a month. But the most important thing is that no one was injured, even though many people were in the shelter.
By morning, more than 1,000 apartment buildings in Kyiv alone were without heating. Families woke to frozen homes, broken windows, dark stairwells. At least 10 people were wounded. Ukraine's largest private energy company, D-Tech, confirmed this was the heaviest strike on the electricity network this year, the 9th major assault since October.
I am not the only one like this in the country right now. All day long, there is no electricity, no way to cook food for the kids. Pretty much everyone is in this situation. Even when our building is sourced with heating, when I wake up in the morning, it is 10 or 12 degrees Celsius in the apartment, and I see ice on windowsills. This is my third stroller. The previous two broke. They break quickly on the stairs when I carry my child and groceries. My husband is at war, so I have to do everything myself. I repeat this routine several times a day. We wake up with the child in the morning and go outside because the child needs fresh air. We go outside, go to the store, buy groceries, and climb to the 6th floor using the stairs. Then we go outside again for a walk and return home.
Russian strikes hit the base of Kyiv's iconic Motherland Monument and damaged the National Museum of the History of Ukraine in World War II. Ukraine's culture minister called it symbolic and cynical, an aggressor striking a place of memory, repeating 20th century crimes in the 21st. The attack came as NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte arrived in Kyiv, laying flowers for fallen soldiers and reaffirming that NATO's support for Ukraine would continue. It also came just one day before U.S.-brokered peace talks were set to resume in Abu Dhabi. Despite diplomatic efforts, the war shows no sign of slowing. Russia, accused by Kyiv and its allies of trying to freeze the population into submission, continues its campaign against civilian infrastructure. And as winter tightens its grip, millions of Ukrainians once again face the cold, in the dark, under fire. This is not just a battle for territory, it is a battle for survival.
The fragile pause is over. In the dead of winter, missiles once again tore through the skies above Kyiv. A ceasefire announced by President Donald Trump has collapsed, and Ukraine's capital is under fire. Ukrainian officials say Russia resumed large-scale strikes on Kyiv overnight, shattering hopes that freezing temperatures and diplomatic pressure would slow the war. Kyiv's military administration says the city was hit in the bitter cold with another massive strike, urging residents to remain inside shelters as explosions echoed across multiple districts. Officials later confirmed that at least 4 people were injured in the overnight barrage, with emergency crews racing to extinguish fires and rescue civilians trapped inside damaged buildings. According to multiple Telegram channels monitoring the attack, 2 Zircon hypersonic cruise missiles struck a 750 kilovolt substation in Kyiv, targeting critical energy infrastructure at a time when temperatures remain dangerously low. Other reports claim Iskandar missiles were used in the assault, with at least 4 Iskandar missiles striking Kyiv's CHP-4 power plant, a major electricity and heating facility for the capital. Ukraine's State Emergency Service says Russian drones also hit civilian infrastructure across several districts, damaging residential buildings, administrative offices, and a preschool facility. Video footage from the scene shows flames engulfing the upper floors of a high-rise residential building as firefighters battled large blazes caused by the strikes. Local officials report that cars and power lines were destroyed in the attack, deepening concerns over energy shortages as Ukraine struggles to maintain heat and electricity through the winter. The renewed strikes come just days after a deadly Russian attack on a maternity hospital in southern Ukraine, further inflaming tensions and international outrage. Authorities in Zaporizhia say the hospital was struck around midday on Sunday, damaging the building and injuring at least 6 people. The blast sparked a fire in the gynecology reception area, which was later extinguished by emergency services. Homes in surrounding areas were also damaged, with 3 more civilians injured, according to Ukraine's State Emergency Service.
I work on the first floor of the gynecology admissions department. I was just going about my usual daily duties. There were no patients at the reception at that moment. Then I heard a very loud sound. A Shahed drone was flying. And it was steadily drawing closer and closer. I quickly grabbed my phone and darted out into the hallway, and then suddenly there was an explosion.
Vladislav Hansyuk, we heard an explosion. We came in and are trying to clean up what's left. This is a physiotherapy office and we do cardiograms. Vladislav Hansyuk, I'm still in shock because of all the emotions. It's such a pity for this workplace where I've worked for 20 years.
These attacks come ahead of a new round of U.S.-brokered talks aimed at ending the war, set to take place this week in Abu Dhabi. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy confirmed that trilateral talks involving Ukraine, Russia, and the United States will be held on Wednesday and Thursday, following a brief postponement. The Kremlin also confirmed the talks, with spokesman Dmitry Peskov telling reporters that Russian officials would attend the meetings. Last week, President Trump said Russian President Vladimir Putin had agreed to stop striking Kyiv and various towns during periods of extreme cold.
And because of the cold, extreme cold, they have the same that we do, I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kyiv and the cities and towns for a week during this. It's extraordinary. It's not just like cold, it's extraordinary cold, record-setting cold. Over there too, they're having the same. It's a big pile of bad weather, the worst. But it was it really. They said they've never experienced cold like that. And I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kyiv and the various towns for a week. And he agreed to do that. And I have to tell you, it was very nice. A lot of people said, don't waste the coal, you're not going to get that. And he did it, and we're very happy that they did it.
That's correct.
Because on top of everything else, that's not what they need, is missiles coming into.
The Kremlin said the truce would last until Sunday, but did not explicitly link it to sub-zero temperatures. Ukraine, however, says Moscow continued its attacks despite the announcement, casting doubt on the credibility of the ceasefire. As diplomacy resumes behind closed doors, missiles and drones continue to fall on Ukrainian cities, raising urgent questions over whether talks can succeed while the war rages on the ground.